So I have a lot of random gun parts, and I made a Frankenstein rifle, and I'm going to show it to you. Welcome back to another episode. Thanks for joining me today. I've got a good one for you. I got a new rifle. I made it. It's a Frankenstein.
Give my creation life!
So back in 2015 or so, I started buying up gun parts because, you know, you never know how election's going to turn out. And I was worried that Billary was going to get elected. So I started compiling some parts. You know, it's always good to have extra parts on hand. Well, parts kit, bolt catch release, safety lever, trigger, pin kit. There's an upper. What else do I have down here? Oh yeah, upper, lower, parts kit, another lower, bolt carrier groups, another upper. Ah, there they are. Gas tubes. Because you never know when you're going to need to fix something or build something. And so I had this extra 22-inch 22 DPC barrel that I gotten from Kenny. And it's laying around, and I'm like, you know what? Let's put that thing to use. And the reason being is I've been shooting this. This is the 18-inch barrel, 22 DPC. And if I'm going to shoot this 22 caliber bullet, I want to try to maximize the velocity on this thing. So that black gun, Darth Vader, it's shooting this 85.5 grain Burger bullet with 28 grains of CFE 223 right around 2720. You know, most of these targets, this last match I shot, you know, we went out to 900 yards on it, but the majority of them are 600 yards or in. So if I'm going to shoot this little bullet, why am I shooting it around 2,700 feet per second? I'm going to try to speed this whole thing up, and that's the whole point of breaking out this 22-inch barrel. In the past, I've had some mixed results with it on accuracy, especially with heavier bullets. It's not as good. So what we're going to do is I've got the 77 grain Nosler RDF and the 80 grain Sierra Match King. I have 3 different powders. During the summer this last year, I did a big powder test on this round. Some of the hotter ones was the Vitavori 135 and the Hodgdon 4895 and the tried and true Varget. Now, all last year when I was doing testing with this thing, Varget wasn't really on my radar for an option with it. It wasn't until I got this 18-inch barrel and this whole new build from Kenny that I really got into the Varget loads. There's some nuances with the AR-15 gasser platform that you have to work through. But let's take a look at this build. Let's check this out. So this is my Frankenstein build, y'all. These are pieces, parts. This is a Luth AR stock that I was going to use for a different project. It's loose. I need to tighten that up. I just finished this last night. This is an Odinworks charging handle, Odinworks safety. I'm trying to remember the name of these pins. This is a Aero Precision M4E1 upper, Aero Precision M4E1 lower. This is the Aero Precision 18 or 17-inch handguard that was on this one that I took off. I had an extra 15-inch that I put back on Darth Vader. I took the 18-inch off. I took Brownell's Alumahide and painted this. So this is a clear anodized upper. I think this is Kodiak brown anodized lower. The color I chose, I had some extra laying around, was Wolf Gray. Painted what I did, put it back together. I put this in the oven and baked it. On top, I have the Arkin SH4 Gen 2 4x16x50. This configuration is not going to stay this way. I'm going to probably, if I can get some good results with these loads, I'm probably going to take this tuner brake off and put it on this and try to tune a load to this platform. And I'll probably swap out the scope rings with the Night Force and bring it over here, depending. But this may not shoot worth a shit. I may go back to the other gun and explore on that. But hey, you know what? We're going to give it a whirl today and see what happens. Anarchy grip. This is an Odinworks safety. Now, I had a different safety on this, and I didn't like the way is a big lever. I didn't like the way it interfaced with the other side, but check this out. I really wanted to try to get a vertical grip. I love that ergo grip on the other rig there, but for precision shooting, it's maybe not the best, because you'll see a lot of guys when they're shooting the rifles rest their thumb over here. The reason being is it's a more accurate grip. Your forefinger and thumb, your index finger and thumb, it's naturally linked. You're so used to grabbing things with these two appendages, right? They just go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Butter and jelly!
Naturally, when you pull your trigger finger, that thumb wants to work with it. And when that can lead to torquing that grip in that shot. So the reason why people have gone to or prefer the thumb on the side grip is it isolates your index finger. So when you pull the trigger, that's the only thing that's moving. And again, I was telling you about having a vertical grip with the thumb shelf. I was going to put a molding on this to customize my grip, because the previous safety selector I had on here is very long, and when you engage it, it was in the way. I was going to try to extend this out, but I switched it with this Odin, and the cool thing is when you go safe, it's like a thumb stop in front. I can wedge my thumb right in there. It's perfect. The trigger in this is a Trigger Tech Diamond single stage. I've had this in other platforms. This one is a Timney Calvin. I think it is Calvin Elite. That's set at 1.5 pounds. You cannot adjust it. In this match I shot a couple weeks ago, it was 10 degrees out. Luckily this happened on the very last stage. Your fingers are numb, and I got on that bag with that Darth Vader rifle and that Calvin trigger. I couldn't use a bipod because the bipod was too wide for the stair rail. So I had to put it on a bag, and so basically it was essentially free recoil in that thing. And I touched off around, and I double tapped. Up! The range officer was like, "Hey, was that two?" I said, "Yeah, it was." I double tapped it. He goes, "Well, that's a DQ." So I got DQ'd on that stage, which was okay. It was the very last stage of the shoot, but it sucks nevertheless. You never want to be that guy, right?
Hey, your cousin from Boston.
So a lot of people have asked me, like, why are you shooting a gasser this year in PRS? I get that asked a lot. Why are you shooting an AR-15? It is the symbol of freedom, in my opinion. It was developed by a guy who grew up 30 miles from my house. So it has roots in my home state here in Indiana. Eugene Stoner, he was from Gosport, I believe it was, which is about 30 minutes from my home. And so it's kind of an homage to a fellow Hoosier. Number one. Number two, liberals hate it. They've demonized this sporting rifle, especially the dipshit that's in office. You know, I was like, what are you going to do with an AR-15? We got F-16s.
I love people say the blood of liberty, or the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots. Well, and if you really want to worry about the government, you need an F-16. You need an F-16.
But when I do get zapped and they're picking up my pieces, you'll find my hand clenched around the grip of an AR-15. And number three, not a lot of people shoot gassers in PRS, and there's a reason why. It's not as accurate, but I like it. They're a fucking load of fun to shoot in a PRS match, I'll tell you that. The most popular action out there is the Remington 700 or 700 clone.
And on the third day, God created the Remington bolt-action rifle so that man could fight the dinosaurs and the homosexuals. Amen.
With the AR-15, AR-10 platform, there is a dwell time from the time you pull that trigger, from the time that hammer hits that firing pin and makes ignition with that round. So you have this gap to where once you pull that trigger, although minute, you can affect the shot and performance and accuracy of a round if you flinch at all or move that. That's why you see most precision shooters shooting bolt action rifles. It is what it is. I love it, and that's why I'm shooting it this year in PRS. And we're gonna have fun with it. Now let's get to shooting. Now, in my last video, I was out here getting ready for that match, and I was out here shooting. It was 7 degrees. Today's about, and that was almost 2 weeks ago. Today is going to be about 45. This Saturday is going to be almost 60. It's crazy. The weather here is nuts. The problem is you can't find H4895 right now. So if it shoots really well, I'm kind of SOL. I do have some Vitavori, and you can get that, and we'll see how that works. Really, Vitavori 140, which is about the same burn rate as Varget, is probably what I need to be shooting. This Vitavori 135 may work really well with the 77 grain Nosler RDF bullet. Now, earlier in the summer, I did a big powder test. I'll put a link to that in the description below. H4895 was one of my hotter powders. Vitavori 135 is one of the hotter powders. I didn't really get into the Varget. Now that I've been shooting the Varget in Darth Vader, I'm going to try it out on this 22-inch barrel because I didn't really do a lot of testing with it. Hopefully Varget shoots really well and we get good numbers with these lighter bullets. We're going to see, because I got a lot of Varget. I don't on these other powders. That CFE 223 with these temperature swings, maybe not the best, so I want to try to get a more temperature stable powder. This Vitavori 135, and I'm sure the Vitavori 140, they're supposed to be temp stable. They also have a copper fouling eraser, kind of like the CFE 223, so it's probably the best of both worlds you can get in a powder, although I haven't played a whole lot with Vitavori. This H4895, it's an extreme powder from Hodgdon, just like the Varget, so it's more temp stable. And that's the point of doing this. I want to get a more stable powder and a faster velocity if possible. So I got this sighted in now. Unfortunately, it's not cycling properly. I'm not getting locked back on the bolt on the last shot, and I'm getting short strokes on the feed. So something's going on with this. I have the JP Silent Capture buffer spring in this. I may swap out the whole ass end of Darth Vader rifle over there and put it on this with the setup that Kenny had with that rifle. For today's purpose, we're going to see what the difference is with this 4 inches of barrel length. This round was shooting 27-20 out of the 18-inch barrel. Let's see what it shoots out of this 22-inch barrel, and then we're going to get into this powder test and see what kind of velocities I can get. Stay tuned. What do you think of that new build? Give me a thumbs up on that. I've brought a bunch of parts to life.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
.2832. Average 2832. ES7 SD 3.5. So this CFE 223 is shooting more consistently with the 22-inch barrel versus the 18. I never got numbers like that out of the 18-inch barrel. So pretty interesting. I picked up about 110 feet per second on this. All right, what we have here, I've loaded up an 80 grain Sierra Match King with 28 grains of Varget with 27 grains of Vitavori 135 and 28 grains of H4895. Now, when I did that powder test, I was shooting 25 grains of H4895. So this is a considerably hotter load than what I'm shooting. I'm a little bit uneasy with it. We'll see what happens. And then I loaded up the 77 grain RDF with the same powder charges. The objective is to light this fucker up. Let's see if we can get this thing about 3,000 feet per second. This Saturday when I come out here, I'm going to see if we can tune it in with this tuner brake. We're going to go 80 grain bullets first. Shoot more for velocity. I'm tight on time. So we're going to shoot the left targ dots with the 80 grain and then the right targ dots with the 77 grain. All right, Varget. 29.53. Now we're talking. Doggone it. See, it didn't pick up that last round. Kenny, if you're watching, let me know what you put in that other rifle. If it was an A5 buffer system or a full length rifle or what you had going on with that. 3004. Didn't feed again, damn it. 2927. That one did feed. 2972. No luck back. So the 28 grains of CFE 223 shot out better numbers than this Varget, which is weird. Average 2961, SD at 28. Shoot this Vitavori. Now when I did that powder test in the summer, this is borderline too hot for an 80 grain bullet. I'm seeing slight signs of pressure with it. Just a slight swipe on the brass. See how it does today. Second target dot, left hand side. 2968. I remember the numbers were really good on this powder. The group was not. Damn it, didn't pick up. 2965. Again, so far the numbers are looking pretty good. 2934. 2980. All right, now we're in the 77 grain Nosler RDF. We'll start with the Varget on this one, do a 5-shot group. Now the BC on these Sierras is 0.46. The BC on these 77 grain RDFs, 0.452, I think it was, which is about the same BC as a Berger 80 grain VLD and Berger 80.5 grain full bore. So this little 77 grain bullet is as slick as the 80 grain Bergers, so they say. See how we do here. 3,000, 2 feet per second. And it did feed on that one. $3,015. 3,024. 2951. And it did feed on that one too. 3,022. SD of 30, average 3,003 feet per second. See what happens with this Vitavori N135. There you go, there's that Vitavori again, man. SD of 4.2. ES of 11. 2986. Yeah. The fucking Kansas City Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. On social media, some girls are like, don't be hating on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. It's so sweet. A world this crazy. What's wrong with the love story? My problem is Taylor Swift is a communist operative who's now been hired by the DNC.
Vivek Ramaswamy widely speculates Super Bowl will be rigged for Chiefs to set the stage for Taylor Swift's Biden endorsement.
Fucking Travis Kelce is a fucking big pharma water boy. And some of my taxpayer money that went to fucking Pfizer is paying him millions of dollars to do these fucking stupid commercials. Fuck you. I'm not sure how far I'm gonna go with this because this powder is too hot with the 80 grainer. We'll see how it works with the 77 grainer. .3124. With the 80 grain bullet, this powder is no good. Too much for it. But with the 77 grain, doing all right. 3144. So H4895 with 80 grain bullets and 28 grains is not good, but with 28 grains and 77 grain bullets, it's all right. There we go, SD of 10, average 3142. Let's go down and take a look at these targets here. Then I got a boogie. Okie dokie. On the left hand side, this is the 80 grain Sierra Match King, Varget, Vitavori, H4895. I only put 3 shots on it. We're too hot. 28 grains, 27 grains, 28 grains. On the right hand side, the 77 grain nozzle RDF, Varget, 28 grains, Vitavori, 27 grains, 4895, 28 grains. Can't get 4895 right now. That's my best velocity. Really good numbers on it. Really good numbers on this. Pretty decent velocity. I can't remember on Varget. I think it was bad numbers. I don't know velocity wise, but shows some potential there. And I got a ton of Varget. So I think I was high 29s on that maybe. I'll have to, as I'm doing my editing here, I'll have to go back and see. I may be able to up that load to maybe 28.3 on that Varget, somewhere thereabouts with that 77 grain bullet, and get that velocity up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, people, stay free. Till next time.
That's all, folks.